things so much and I love actively hating them. Sorry. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to yet another bookmas video. I honestly have been loving doing these like more sit down, casual, just chit-chatting with you guys types of videos, especially for bookmas. Sorry, it just makes it a lot easier for me. So today I decided to do a part 2 to bookmas day 14, I believe it was, where basically I went over all of romance books that I rated 5 stars and I told you guys if I liked them still and like if they were still 5 stars. Newsflash, a lot of them weren't. So in this video we're going to go over every thriller and mystery book that I rated 5 stars, which by the way, it's not a lot. That's not my genre of choice. That's not the first genre I pick up. So there's not going to be a lot of thriller and mysteries. The majority of these books are actually going to be fantasy books that I rated 5 stars. I don't know. We're just going to talk about if they're still 5-star reads or what I liked, what I didn't like, things like that. I feel like this is like a good little update type of video because I rated a lot of books 5 stars a while ago. And I don't know. I feel like my book taste has changed. My brain chemistry has, you know, molded into who I am today. So I don't know if all of these are going to stay at 5 stars. I feel like I don't relate to past me. So we're gonna see what changes within the rating. Let's just go ahead and let's get right on into the video. By the way, guys, these are in no specific order. Like, it's my channel, okay? Like, you guys weren't expecting it to be fully constructed. The first one is going to be a thriller book / mystery book, though. It is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Now, this book, honestly... Oh my god, people in their loud cars are so annoying, actually. Oh my god! Oh my god, okay, Crown of Midnight is available now. Hey! And From Blood and Ash, oh my god. Yes, okay. Now this is obviously a thriller / mystery book. I just genuinely think, and I'm going to tell you guys my new rating for this right away so then I can kind of explain it because it's not in a harsh way. I just think this book is now like a 4-star read for me. Honestly, this book was very interesting. It was very like plot twisty. Like I gave it a 5 stars just because it was like one of the only thriller and mystery books that I read. I think that if I read this now and didn't know the plot twist, like I read it for the first time now, probably a 4 stars. That's just how I feel. This book was interesting though because you're following this girl named Lori and basically she is the mother of this girl named Ellie. Now Ellie disappeared like 10 years ago now and Lori kind of like is still obviously dealing with that. She goes and she meets up with this guy who she likes a lot and basically she goes to meet his daughters because she's been dating him for a little while now. And when she meets his daughters, one of his daughters looks like the exact spitting image of her daughter Ellie. And then it kind of sends her down a rabbit hole. I mean, like, I just can't comprehend the whole plot line. I feel like it's so left field even for a thriller and mystery book that it's very difficult for me to even grasp onto this story. Let's go ahead and move on to the next book, which, I mean, I feel like you guys all saw this book coming. I feel like I talk about it a lot. Like, oh my god, I need to sew my mouth shut actually because I can't stop talking about this book, okay? That is none other than Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Now, I'm gonna go over this book really quickly, okay? Because I know that you guys are so tired of hearing me talk about this book. This book's a dual POV between Cassie and Jace. Now, Cassie is basically like a street thief, but she became the Queen's Guard not that long ago, and she is sent on a mission to Jace's kingdom to go spy on his kingdom and spy on him. And I say Jace's kingdom because Jace is the prince due to become the king of his kingdom. So that's kind of Jace's storyline, and then Cassie's storyline is literally like trying to uncover his kingdom's secrets. I love this book so much. I loved their chemistry, their banter. I loved how easy of a fantasy book it is. I honestly think that if you're trying to get into fantasy books for the first time, this is like one of those books that you should start with. The beginning few pages are a little bit difficult, but get past the first like maybe 2 or 3 chapters and you will be literally hooked. Fast-paced, easy, simple kind of read. And especially the second book, Vow of Thieves, oh my god, guys, like, it only gets better. Up next, we have Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Now, this book, I feel like I don't talk about that often just simply because I don't ever talk about thrillers or mystery books. That's just not really my forte on this channel. I have heavy anxiety, okay? I'll just say it. It's very difficult for me to read thriller and mystery books because I wake up every day with a, like, tight chest pains and, like, freaking out over no reason. So if I read a thriller book, hey, I'll probably have a panic attack. Like, literally, I think I would drop dead, like, it would be just my corpse. Honestly, I feel like I don't read many thriller or mystery books, but this one is an exception for me. Sometimes I do need a different genre to kind of palate cleanse me, and I thought that this was going to be, like, maybe a 3-star read when I went into it. It is 1000% a 5-star book. Basically, in this book, you follow our main characters, Trisha and Ethan, and they're a newly married couple. They're going to find a house, like, their first home to live in together. They stumble upon this house for sale that used to be owned by a psychiatrist. Now, the psychiatrist, Dr. Hale. There were very shady things that happened in her past. Like, it's a whole mystery around her. And then Trisha finds this, like, bookshelf. Behind that hidden bookshelf are a bunch of audio files from Dr. Hale's, like, psychiatrist meetings. Oh my god, the ending, like, actually shattered me, I think, a little bit. If you want a good book, I'm normally not a Frida McFadden person. I literally have Ward D on my shelf. I've DNF'd this maybe about 4 times in my entire life. Like, I don't know, I'm just not really a Frida McFadden type of person. I feel like her books are a little bit too simple sometimes, but Never Lie is the exception for me. This was such a great book. Next up, okay, this one's gonna make me actually upset, so I'm gonna try to go fast through this one. The mood change that you guys are about to witness is actually going to be insane. One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. You guys might be like, oh, Bryn, but you just recently read this book and you gave it a 3 stars. What do you mean this is in your 5-star reads? I realized after filming that video where I read One of Us is Lying and was like thinking I was reading it for the first time, I realized it may be like a week after I filmed that video, I read One of Us is Lying before and I just forgot about it. I fully disregarded it from my head, and the first time I read it, I gave it 5 stars. Oh, so she was obviously not well when she read this book, because whoa, like when I say I don't get along with past me and I don't understand past me, like this is what I mean, because how did she give it 5 stars? How? I'm actually so concerned. I want to have a conversation with her right now, because what is going on in her head? I gave this book a 5 stars when I first read it, which I think that was like maybe 2 years ago now, I think. But it was a while ago when I rated this book a 5 stars. And okay, here is my little disconnect with the book. I gave this book a 3 stars the last time I read it, and I read it for a video, and I thought that I was reading it for the first time in that video. Turns out I wasn't. I just forgot that I fully read the book before. And in my head, I gave the book a 3 stars the last time I read it because I said it was very predictable. In hindsight, was it predictable because I already kind of knew the ending, just like forgot that I read the book before? I don't know. So was the ending actually predictable? Not sure, but I also kind of want to stand at where I said like 3 stars. I just didn't like the characters, I didn't like the plot, the setting, like I didn't like anything about this book, really. Moving on, we have a book that you guys have probably all heard about before, okay? A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Don't think that this book is a 5 stars anymore. I don't want that to deplete from the ACOTAR series like as a whole, or Sarah J. Maas's writing as a whole. I think the further along I go throughout the ACOTAR series, the better the books get, so then it makes like the beginning books a little bit worse to me. I don't think that this book is 5 stars. I think 4 stars, if anything. Very simple, very easy. This is like a very great start to the fantasy series. You have to read this book before you start the rest of the series. I never really talk about this book just simply because, I mean, I talk about the other ACOTAR books. I feel like the other ones hold more value in my head. That doesn't take away from the rest of the series at all. I still love the ACOTAR series. I just don't think that this first book is 5 stars for me anymore. Next up we have The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I just recently read this book, guys, and if you think that I'm gonna put this book down a rating, have you been here before? Hey, so do you know me at all, actually? This book is not moving. This book is a 5 stars. I would give it a trillion stars if I could. I genuinely think that this is the best start in a series that I've ever read. Like, they put something in this to make it so addicting for me. I don't know why I personally relate to this book so much or like love this book so much, because a lot of other people don't find this book as groundbreaking and earth-shattering as I did. Basically, the loose plot of this book is you're following our main character, Selena. She works for this Assassin's Guild. Now, she doesn't want to do it anymore, but obviously it's a very hard job to just like let go of. It's not one of those jobs you can just be like, hey, I quit, and then you can go on your merry way. And this book is following like 5 different, I guess I would just say short stories, but it's following Selena on 5 different missions throughout this book. And I feel like throughout each of these missions, you're solidifying a new part of who Selena is. Like in the beginning, I was reading like, oh, Selena did this, Selena did that, and I was like, I don't even know who she is. And then, you know, you kind of move along in the book and you're really solidifying like who Selena is. And oh my god, the end had me crying. I needed 2 or 3 business days to recover from this book. I'm so serious. Now, to end off this video, I actually have 3 books that I read on Kindle. They are all fantasy books that I gave 5 stars, but I read them on my Kindle. I don't have the physical copies to hold up, but I will pop in pictures, so it'll all make sense, okay? Just let's go over 3 more books really quickly before we end off today's video. The first book is also one of those books that, like, you guys literally should be screaming at me through the screen to absolutely shut up about. Oh my god, like, Electric Chair. Basically, the book is none other than Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book is very fairy tale-esque, very magical realism. Like, there's curses, there's spells. It's so like I'm reading a fantasy book. It took me back to literally when I was a child reading like actual like princess fairy tales, and that's kind of what it felt like, but a more like adult version of it because it wasn't as light and cheery as fairy tales are, but it still gave the same vibes. So you're following our main character in this book, and she is like utterly in love with this guy in the beginning, and he actually ends up being in love with her sister. Now she thinks, oh my gosh, there's no way he could be in love with my sister and not me, like he has to be cursed. So that's kind of how things work in this world. So she ends up going and she ends up making a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and our main character in this world is just seen as like a basic average person, and she's never supposed to make a deal with the like higher up people in this world. It kind of just goes along from there. It's a very, very interesting story. I feel like it's very like, again, fairy tale-esque. Like, it was so magical. I loved it so much. I genuinely think that like the quotes in this book were so, so great. I think that following our main character along on her journey of self-discovery and like discovering what actual real love is and like how it should feel and how it should be, honestly, it was just so special to me. So I love the book so much. I think that it's so adorable and cute and like perfect in every way. Everything about it was just so great. I could actually go on for hours, but I won't. Okay, so that obviously is staying out of 5 stars. Now the next book we have I actually never talk about, but it's called Serpent and Dove. I read this a while ago on my Kindle. I think like at the end of last year I read this book. I don't know why I don't talk about it very much. I feel like it doesn't come up organically in conversations anymore, but I would most definitely change the rating of this book. If you guys thought, oh, I most definitely keep this book rating the same, oh, sorry, no, I wouldn't. It was one of like the first fantasy books that I ever read, and I gave it a 5 stars because I don't know, I feel like when you first start off on a new genre, you don't know what's actually good yet, so you're just like, oh, this is like the best thing I've ever read, and then it's not. So I'm honestly gonna give this book probably a 4.5 stars. Okay, I don't think that it's a 5-star read necessarily, but I also don't think that it's like any lower than a 4 stars or a 4.5. It's a really, really good book still. Okay, everyone, last but not least, we have Divine Rivals. You guys know how much I love this book, okay? The second book in the series fell pretty flat for me. I think it did for literally everyone who read it, but the first book, Divine Rivals, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Imagine a piece of my heart fully carved out. It like has their initials on it. Their names are written on a piece of my heart. That is how much I love these characters. I think a lot of ratings that I gave of books are related to the fact that I read them at a specific time, and I think Divine Rivals came to me at a perfect time in my life. Now, Iris, our main character, is struggling with the fact that her brother was sent off to war, and she has not heard of him since. Like, she has not heard of him. No, she hasn't heard from him since. Now, the thing about Iris and our other main character, Roman, is they have these magical typewriters. So one day Iris writes a letter to her brother, but because she uses the magical typewriter, the letter gets sent to Roman. Now, Roman ends up replying, being like, hey, it's not your brother, by the way, but here's some advice. And then they kind of just continue exchanging letters. Also, in their real life, they are actually enemies because they work at the same like newspaper place. They're competing to have the one spot that's left open for a job. So that's kind of like the whole overview of the book. I honestly think this book came to me at the perfect time in my life because, like I said before, our main character Iris is struggling with the fact that her brother was sent to war. Now, oh my god, you guys are gonna like laugh out loud about what I'm about to say, but I read this book when my brother went off to college. Sorry, the difference between her brother being sent to war. Oh, my brother just went to college. I'm pretty sure my brother will say that it felt like war. So obviously I didn't relate to all of the stuff that Iris was saying because Iris's pain and grief and everything like that was a lot deeper than just my brother went off to college. But I feel like sometimes when she would say like the house feels empty now, or like, I don't know, just different things that she would say in the book or say like in the letters that she was sending to Roman, I was like, this is exactly like how I feel about this whole situation. Like, it feels like a piece of the family's missing now. It feels like, I don't know, a lot of that stuff I was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. On like a simpler level, I feel like I related to a lot of things Iris was saying. Does that make sense? I don't know, but we're gonna move on, okay? Actually, we're not gonna move on because that is the end of today's video. These are all of the books that I had left to talk about for my 5-star reads, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so very much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all my socials. Do all those things you guys know how to do. Me just doing self-promo is so crazy every time at the end of my videos, but I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow for yet another Bookmas video. Goodbye.